Repeat information to Dalek Time Controller. Dalek Time Controller receiving. Identity confirmed. This is our greatest enemy, the Time Lord, the Doctor. He must be exterminated now! Revive him. I obey.
Oh, there you are.
I thought perhaps you might regenerate again.
No. I think I'll keep hold of this body. This one's a keeper.
But not for long.
Oh, is this the bit where you gloat before my inevitable death?
Yes.
That was not necessary.
Do not be squeamish about genocide, Kotris. It is, after all, our ultimate aim.
My aim is to see the end of the Time Lords. That doesn't mean that
You
I
are
don't...
not a Time Lord now, Kotris. You have chosen the course of history you wish to follow. There can be no going back now. The future, the past, all of time belongs to us.
Hello, and welcome back to another entry to the History of series. Today we'll be changing things up a bit. Instead, we'll be taking a look at yet another individual character, being of course the Dalek Time Controller, by far one of, if not the most unique and interesting Dalek in their history. But let's not waste any more time and get right into it. The Dalek Time Controller oversaw the new Dalek Paradigm scheme to transform the 400 sunlight worlds into a billion Scaros. By manipulating the 11th Doctor's TARDIS coordinates in the Time Vortex, he led the Doctor into uncovering the secrets to the Cradle of the Gods. On this mission, the Dalek Time Controller outranked the Dalek Supreme, countermanding its actions to take action against the Doctor, doing so in order not to disrupt the flow of time. The Time Controller posed as the Dalek Litigator, a judge in the law courts of the Sunlight Worlds. He acted as the prosecution when the 11th Doctor was placed on trial on 2 occasions, for claiming that the Daleks were evil, something considered a hate crime, and on both occasions he managed to outwit the Doctor. The plan backfired, however, when the Doctor managed to convince a Dalek puppet, Genevieve Blakely, to turn on the Dalek Time Controller. While undamaged by the fire from Genevieve's weaponry, the Dalek Time Controller promptly retreated, but not before fatally shooting Genevieve. Thanks to his holistic view of the Master's crimes against the Dalek Empire, the Dalek Time Controller, back to an earlier point of Dalek history, acted once more as the Dalek Litigator in the trial of the Master on Skaro. However, the Litigator later discovered that the Master had survived in a new body through the aid of the Deathworm Morphant. Tracking down the Master to 2223 Earth, the Dalek Litigator followed him back in time and contacted the Dalek Parliament of that era. He got himself assigned on a planned renewed Dalek invasion of Earth, but as a subordinate to the Dalek Supreme leading the invasion. The Dalek Supreme was not told about the Litigator's true nature, and was irritated by his presence and the ways in which he seemed to often give orders exceeding his authority. Through the Dalek duplicate Magnus Drake, the Litigator hired Vienna Salvatore to assassinate the Master, but she had not yet succeeded by the time the Dalek Supreme's ships touched down in London. The Litigator contacted Vienna again, and demanded she bring the Master alive to the Dalek saucer. The Master showed up on his own accord, and proved to outclass the Daleks, successfully putting the Supreme under his mental control and fighting to do the same to the Litigator, whom he recognised as the prosecutor at his trial. However, the Litigator used an emergency temporal shift to escape from the Master's mental attack. When the Daleks tracked Mila, who they had infected, to the Amethyst Viral Containment Station in the past, the Dalek Time Controller commanded a Dalek patrol sent there, planning to move the station through time. The Sixth Doctor damaged their operations and left them trying to fend off an explosion. However, the Dalek Time Controller realised that the explosion at the Viral Containment Station had caused the viruses to be scattered throughout time, deciding to allow it to happen rather than to intervene. After leaving, the Doctor believed that the Time Controller had been destroyed in the explosion. However, the Time Controller was instead blasted back through the Time Vortex to the 2180s, where he was retrieved by the Daleks of that era, badly damaged by the time winds in the Vortex. As the Daleks of this time were unable to fix the Time Controller themselves, they contacted the Monk, due to his temporal knowledge, and the Time Lord was able to repair him. The Time Controller took over control of Dalek operations and orchestrated the second Dalek invasion of Earth, forcing the Monk to release another plague to weaken humanity. He planned to use Earth as a spaceship containing the viruses from the Viral Station, having seen where they'd end up while he was still in the Vortex, and intended to install a time warp engine into the Earth to travel to this point. Earth then could be piloted throughout the universe, infecting planets which would later threaten Daleks in the future. Ultimately, the Time Controller and all Daleks on his ship were dragged into a time warp, thanks to Lucie Miller crashing a Dalek saucer containing a bomb into the Earth's mind. However, the Time Controller was saved from yet another destruction, this time by Kotris. From then, he oversaw the chasing of the 8th Doctor and Molly O'Sullivan through time and space, by using a relativity map and a temporal chamber to create a space-time projector. Using retrogenitor particles implanted inside Molly, the Time Controller and Kotris planned to destroy the Time Lords. However, when the Time Controller killed Straxus, Kotris' previous incarnation, Kotris was erased from history, therefore erasing the Time Controller's plans involving him. Being a time-sensitive being, the Time Controller was aware of the changes to history while they occurred, and swore to Kotris, before he was erased, that he would destroy the Time Lords. The Time Controller oversaw the invasion of Nixyce 7, and placed mines in the planet to create a Dalek superweapon. The 8th Doctor detonated a bomb located on a nearby Dalek in the Time Controller's chamber, damaging him and causing him to flee in his ship in orbit above the planet. Rather than destroying the weapon, the Doctor asked for the Dalek Time Controller's help in defeating the Eminence, who posed a bigger threat to the Dalek than the Doctor. The Time Controller agreed, and used the weapon to destroy the Eminence fleet. After being infected with retrogenitor particles, as a result of existing outside of time during several changes to history, the Dalek Time Controller was banished from the Dalek Empire, as the Daleks did not recognise him as a natural part of their timeline. Furthermore, the particles within the Time Controller gave it a symbiotic link with Molly O'Sullivan. Allying with the Reborn Master, the Dalek Time Controller travelled to Monmartre in Paris in 1921, and created Adelaine Duton, a Dalek duplicate from his own DNA. Harvesting the criminals and artists that Duton worked for in the Red Pagoda, the Time Controller created the Dalek Time Strategists, Daleks with an advanced understanding of temporal science, similarly to the Dalek Time Controller. Eventually he progressed his plans, using Dalek agents to capture the Doctor's TARDIS in order to use the Red Pagoda to change history, as well as serving as a giant replacement casing for his corroded casing. The Time Controller eventually confronted the 8th Doctor and Liv Chenka, before capturing Liv and interrogating her on the Eminence War, particularly the Doctor's involvement in it. When the Doctor returned, the Time Controller was unable to stop him from recovering his highly damaged TARDIS, although he could still continue his original plan. Following the arrival of the Master from an alternative timeline, as well as numerous Daleks, the Time Controller and the Master combined their forces to establish said alternative timeline by conquering all of Earth. By 1961, Earth had become New Skaro, and all of humanity had either been exterminated, enslaved, or converted into Daleks. Inside a control center, the Time Controller secretly prepared to betray the Master, predicting that the latter was already planning to betray him. When the Master travelled to a Dalek camp in the ruins of Moscow to retrieve the Doctor, who had crashed his TARDIS in the alternate timeline and was badly amnesic, the Time Controller ordered for the Doctor to be brought to him, so as to replace the Master in their operation. Inside the control center, the Dalek Time Controller and the Master betrayed each other, leading to a civil war between the Dalek Time Strategists, who had been summoned from 1921, and 75% of the Daleks, who the Master had reprogrammed to fight against the Time Strategists. The Dalek Time Controller then took Liv Chenka and Molly O'Sullivan as hostages, before stealing the Doctor's TARDIS. Arriving at the Eye of Orion, which secretly housed a Dalek weapons facility, the Time Controller allowed Molly to be sent away for medical assistance, as her unstable condition was a threat to the Time Controller's own life. He forced Liv to remain with him as he killed a genetically modified Orion worker and a Dalek patrol to access the secure bunker containing Marcus Shriver. Inside, the Time Controller battled with Shriver for control of the gas that would later become the Eminence, with the Time Controller eventually transferring its consciousness into the gas to fight Shriver. Suddenly, a Dalek squad led by the Dalek Supreme arrived, having been led there by the 8th Doctor. The Supreme revealed that its plan had been to allow the Dalek Time Controller to the Eye of Orion, so as to separate its consciousness and destroy it, along with Marcus Shriver. Shortly after the Supreme left, Molly O'Sullivan, who had managed to pilot the Doctor's TARDIS into the bunker, allowed her consciousness to become part of the Eminence too, giving her the chance to banish the Eminence to the very end of the universe, where the Doctor, Liv, and Molly's past selves would encounter it on the Orpheus, and would eventually end the Eminence entirely. Shortly after swiftly leaving the Eye of Orion, the Daleks recovered the remains of Adelaine Dutom's. The Dalek Supreme ordered for Dutom's remains to be reconstituted as a unique Dalek time strategist who would go on to serve as the second-in-command to the Dalek Empire during the last Great Time War. The Dalek Combat Training Manual, published by the Time Lords during the Time War, were aware of the Time Controller through many reports of the Daleks' wider activities, filing him, along with the Time Strategists, as potentially apocryphal anomalies. And that is the story of the Dalek Time Controller. As I said in the beginning, by far one of the most unique Daleks to ever exist, having the ability to see into the time vortex and manipulate events, all the while keeping others protected as not to end the universe. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below, as it really helps out the channel. More videos will be coming soon, I just have to get around to making them. Thanks for watching.